This is a closer look at the training of Afghan Security Forces, Part 1. From Atlanta, I'm Gail McCabe.
We're moving in the right direction, but we still have some challenges ahead of ourselves. If you look back about 8 months ago when NATO Training Mission first stood up, there were very, very few Afghans who in fact were part of the training base. Today, we've spent a considerable amount of time encouraging the Afghan leadership to give us more Afghans to become the trainers themselves.
Building up the Afghan Security Forces began a little over 8 years ago, primarily with the ANA, the Afghan National Army. At that time, it was a force of 70,000. Today, you're at a little over 130,000.
That's right.
Are you still growing?
It's still growing. And we'll grow it to 171, as we say, 0.6 thousand. So almost a 200,000 man strong force.
The Army has gained recognition as a proud and professional force, but to have sustained security in Afghanistan, you need a strong and accountable police force. And the police, sad to say, have a reputation for corruption.
The police have never been given the focus and the attention probably they really needed. Last November, NATO Training Mission took it on. And the key thing that we've done is we now require when you come into the police force that you have to be trained. When NATO Training Mission stood up, only about 30% of the police had ever had any formal training. So 70% of your police force out there last November had never been formally trained. So what we have instituted now, when you get recruited, you then have to be trained before we're going to put you in a uniform and let you perform police duties.
So it's your thought that with proper training that will defeat corruption?
It's a two-edged thing. One is the professionalization of the force that's going to have to take place. And part of that you do is you have to pay them comparable to what you're asking them to do. Last November, police were getting paid about half of what an Army private did. So we went in and asked the international community, what is a standard living wage? What do you need in order to sustain a family and live here in Afghanistan? And the answer was about $165 a month is what they should be getting as their base pay coming in brand new. We were paying them about $80 a month. We were not even giving the police enough money to live within their own society. So therefore you almost set the conditions for them to have to look for alternate means to make other money. And some of that then led to corruption within the force. Early this year, we changed it to give them pay parity with the Army. So a brand new policeman today makes the exact same pay as a private in the Army, which is the base standard living wage for their country.
You've just completed a 6-month internal review. What were your findings? What were the highlights?
The biggest thing that we continue to find, and we recognized it early on, is that leadership, the leader development piece of both in the Army and in the police is a significant challenge for us. We've been putting more schools into place to help us, in fact, train more leaders. But our biggest challenge is we can produce soldiers, infantrymen, policemen out in the force, but leaders take time.
How do you go about developing good leaders?
The most important part is by putting them through some kind of training program first to give them the basic fundamentals. And then the next part is the partnering. And the IJC, the Ground Force Command, under General Rodriguez, has been putting a lot more focus on ensuring that they're partnered with the Army and the police units out there. And by partnering with them, our young lieutenants and sergeants can link up with theirs within the police and Army forces and provide them a little bit of a role model or a show how to do certain things, from taking care of their soldiers, to paying attention to accountability of their equipment, to their interaction with the people of Afghanistan, and the fact that we're there to serve.
This is a NATO training mission. Are you getting sufficient participation?
Today we have added about 800 NATO trainers, but we have a need for still many more than that. We have nations within NATO that have pledged and said about 700 or so that they've pledged now that they'll provide to us in the coming months, but we still have a delta of about another 450 or so that we're looking for the international community to commit to and be a part of this overall effort. We've been real fortunate that the United States have given us some infantry battalions. It's a bridging strategy so that we do have additional trainers on the ground. So although we can produce the quantity that's necessary today to grow the force, what's going to be very, very important is to continue to get and have more professional trainers so that we can continue to increase the quality of the force.
That's a closer look